Capsule wardrobe. Capsule wardrobe. Capsule wardrobe. One thing I love is a capsule wardrobe that's budget friendly. Capsule wardrobe. Capsule wardrobe. Like that capsule wardrobe. Capsule wardrobe.
I now have capsule wardrobes for each aesthetic.
Capsule wardrobes have become a phenomenon, dominating YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram feeds. In fact, searches for capsule wardrobe have skyrocketed by over 60% in the last 12 months, a clear sign of how popular minimalism has become. At first glance, it's easy to see the appeal. Fewer choices, less clutter, and a wardrobe that's sustainable, timeless, and effortlessly chic. But here's the question no one seems to be asking. Who gets to participate in this movement? Because for all the talk about sustainability and accessibility, capsule wardrobes often come with an unspoken cost, one that excludes a significant portion of people. Today, we're going to uncover the side of capsule wardrobes that's rarely discussed, their potential classist implications. Are capsule wardrobes truly a universal solution? Or do they cater to a privileged few? Let's get into it. The concept of the capsule wardrobe has roots in the 1970s, when Susie Faux, a London boutique owner, popularized the idea as a solution for working women looking to simplify their wardrobes. Later, the American fashion designer Donna Karan created a 7 easy pieces collection in the 1980s that helped solidify the idea in mainstream fashion. A capsule wardrobe today is a curated collection of clothing, often anywhere between 15 to 40 pieces, designed to mix and match seamlessly. Think timeless staples like a white button-up, tailored trousers, and a trench coat. The idea is to own fewer, higher quality pieces that you can wear year-round. But what makes capsule wardrobes so popular now? Their appeal isn't just about the clothes. It's rooted in a larger cultural and economic context. Capsule wardrobes often resurface during periods of uncertainty or upheaval when people are rethinking their consumption habits and looking for simplicity. For example, after the 2008 global financial crisis, minimalism surged as a response to economic hardship. People were cutting back, focusing on essentials, and reevaluating the excesses of consumer culture. Capsule wardrobes offered a way to save money while maintaining a sense of style and order. Fast forward to the pandemic era, and we see a similar pattern. With millions working remotely and social events on hold, there was less need for expansive wardrobes. Instead, people sought comfort, practicality, and sustainability, values that align perfectly with the idea of a capsule wardrobe. This isn't the first time minimalism has made a cultural comeback. In the 1970s, the simplicity movement grew as a direct response to the rapid consumerism of the post-war era, which is a period following World War II. During this time, society was flooded with mass-produced goods and an emphasis on keeping up with trends, which left many feeling disillusioned with the culture of excess. Minimalism became a form of rebellion, a way to reject the pressures of materialism and focus on values like self-sufficiency and intentional living. For instance, the Back to the Land movement of the 1970s encouraged people to adopt simpler lifestyles, emphasizing handmade goods, natural materials, and thoughtful consumption. This sentiment resonates with today's push for sustainability and the intentional living ethos behind capsule wardrobes. Fast forward to today, and the environmental crisis has replaced the economic downturn as a driving force. Minimalism, reflected in capsule wardrobes, is marketed as a solution, not just to cluttered closets, but also to the overproduction and waste that characterize the fast fashion industry. However, much like in the past, this trend often ends up being co-opted by consumer culture, with minimalism itself becoming a product to buy into rather than a practice to adopt. While the concept of owning less is appealing, many of the guides promoting capsule wardrobes center around expensive, high-quality brands like Everlane, Kuyana, or Cezanne. And let's face it, for the average person, these aren't cheap. Capsule wardrobes rely on a level of financial stability that's out of reach for many. According to the Pew Research Center, nearly 30% of Americans are classified as low income, with household budgets that often leave little room for discretionary spending. For this group, spending thousands on a capsule wardrobe isn't just unrealistic, it's impossible. And let's not forget, capsule wardrobes are often marketed through a lens of exclusivity. Curated images we see, filled with perfectly folded cashmere sweaters and chic trench coats, creates an unspoken pressure to conform to a specific aesthetic, making the concept feel more like an elite club than an accessible tool for everyone. And this isn't just a domestic issue. Globally, the concept of capsule wardrobes looks very different. In wealthier nations, they're marketed as a way to combat overconsumption. But in lower income countries, clothing scarcity, not abundance, is often the challenge. Capsule wardrobes aren't even part of the conversation because having just enough isn't a choice, it's the reality. This global disparity underscores a key issue. Capsule wardrobes are often presented as universal solutions when, in reality, they cater to those with the privilege of choice. Another issue is how capsule wardrobes assume a one-size-fits-all approach. But not everyone's lifestyle fits neatly into the 15 to 40-piece framework. On average, Americans spend about $1,700 annually on clothing. A significant portion of the spending tends to prioritize affordability over durability, fueling the cycle of buying cheaper, short-lived items. In 2021, typical American consumers allocated just 2.6% of their annual budget to clothing. This shows that for many, clothing remains a lower financial priority compared to essentials like housing, which consistently takes up about 33% of annual budgets. Take someone working a 9-to-5 office job. They might need business attire during the week, gym clothes for workouts, casual outfits for weekends, and seasonal items like coats or boots. If each item costs $150 on average, you're looking at a total investment of $4,500 to $6,000. That's just for the basics, and it assumes you already own things like shoes, outerwear, and accessories. Suddenly, those 15 to 30 pieces don't stretch as far as promised. And then there are parents, caregivers, or individuals juggling multiple jobs. Their clothing needs are constantly shifting, whether for work, childcare, or social obligations. The idea of a minimalist wardrobe might feel unattainable, not just financially, but logistically. This is where the class divide becomes even more apparent. Capsule wardrobes often fail to address the realities of people who require different wardrobes for work, family, and other responsibilities. It assumes people are ready or able to shift their budgets from buy cheap and often to invest in fewer, better pieces. But for many, affordability takes precedence over durability or sustainability, not out of choice, but out of necessity. Now let's talk sustainability. Capsule wardrobes are often framed as the antidote to fast fashion, a way to consume less and reduce environmental harm. But the reality is more complicated. First, let's address the life cycle of a garment. Even luxury pieces marketed as sustainable aren't immune to environmental costs. High-quality materials often involve resource-intensive production, significant carbon emissions, and long-distance transportation. And when these items eventually wear out or go out of style, their disposal adds to the problem. In some cases, the environmental footprint of one luxury item can rival multiple lower-cost alternatives. Then there's the role of influencers. Capsule wardrobe creators on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram often promote a less is more lifestyle. But here's the paradox. Many refresh their staples seasonally, subtly encouraging their audience to replace pieces instead of fully embracing the idea of consuming less. This reinforces consumption patterns instead of challenging them. This brings us to a bigger irony. Does the capsule wardrobe movement actually solve overconsumption, or just repackage it? Let's take fast fashion as an example. Many brands capitalize on the trend by offering budget-friendly versions of capsule wardrobe staples. Think trench coats, neutral blouses, or tailored trousers. While these options make the aesthetic more accessible, they perpetuate overproduction. A piece labeled as investment or timeless isn't sustainable if it's mass-produced in unsustainable ways. Another issue lies in the second-hand market. According to a 2022 report by ThredUp, 1 in 3 Gen Z shoppers purchased second-hand clothing in the past year. But thrift stores are increasingly overwhelmed with low-quality, fast fashion items that don't resell well. The United States generates slightly over 17 million tons of municipal solid waste and textiles annually. As fast fashion continues to dominate the market, secondhand stores are flooded with pieces that lack durability, making it harder for those relying on thrift shopping to find quality staples. Ultimately, the problem isn't just where you shop, it's the mindset. Capsule wardrobes have the potential to combat overconsumption, but only if we shift the focus back to intention. Owning fewer pieces doesn't require a big budget or luxury brands. It starts with maximizing the potential of what you already own, being mindful of what you buy, and rethinking how we approach sustainability altogether. So, are capsule wardrobes classist? At their core, capsule wardrobes are not inherently classist. The concept, owning fewer, versatile, high-quality pieces, can benefit anyone looking to simplify their life or reduce waste. But when we look at how capsule wardrobes are marketed and who they are marketed to, the class divide becomes impossible to ignore. Luxury brands dominate the narrative, promoting expensive investment pieces as essential to achieving a capsule wardrobe. For someone earning a higher income, this is an easy and even aspirational lifestyle choice. But for lower income individuals, it becomes an unattainable standard, one that can only be achieved through years of saving, overextending financially, or turning to lower quality alternatives that may not last. This disparity highlights the inherent privilege baked into the modern sustainability movement. Capsule wardrobes, as they're often presented, prioritize aesthetics and exclusivity over true accessibility. They reflect a broader pattern in sustainability where solutions are designed with wealthier demographics in mind, excluding the people who might benefit from those practical, affordable, and inclusive approaches. But the problem goes deeper than individual choices or brand marketing. Capsule wardrobes reflect a systemic issue in how we approach fashion and sustainability. They assume that everyone has the disposable income, time, and access to build their wardrobes in a particular way. For someone living paycheck to paycheck, the idea of a capsule wardrobe is simply unrealistic, not because they don't want to consume less, but because they can't afford to. And ironically, the people who already consume less out of necessity are often excluded from these conversations. They're not the ones over-consuming fast fashion. This is where the classist implications become clear. The very people who need sustainable options the most are often excluded by the systems that market and promote them. So yes, the way capsule wardrobes are marketed today can absolutely be considered classist. They perpetuate the idea that sustainability and minimalism are luxuries reserved for those with disposable income, rather than necessities that should be accessible to everyone. But here is the key takeaway. Capsule wardrobes don't have to be classist. The original concept, owning less, buying thoughtfully, and creating a wardrobe that works for your lifestyle is something anyone can adapt, regardless of income. The challenge is shifting the narrative away from luxury brands and towards practical, inclusive solutions that meet people where they are. What do you think? Are capsule wardrobes classist, or do you think they can be adapted for everyone? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this discussion insightful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives like this. Thank you for watching.